This podcast contains explicit language and content and is for mature audiences only.
Hey, you teenagers out there. If you're under 18, this show is more for your parents. So now that you have that mental picture stuck in your head, put some music on and get back to doing your homework.
We are a longtime married couple who's decided to chronicle our personal adventures and share our sex-positive discussions as we navigate our way through the swinging lifestyle.
Care to join us?
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mr. Jones.
And I'm Mrs. Jones, and we want to welcome you to our episode 17 of the We Got a Thing podcast. It is a Monday night in the middle of December here in the Mid-Atlantic, and it is hot outside.
Yeah, it's too hot, and I have a cold.
Yeah, it's hot and you're cold.
Yeah, and I have no understudy, so you get what you get tonight.
Well, more importantly, you have 4 days to get healthy, because we have a hot date lined up on Friday night, and then on Saturday night, we have Naughty Stocking night.
That's right.
You need to be healthy.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be better by then. So you'll have to bear with me because my voice is kind of coming in and out, and I'll be hacking it up tonight, but I'll try to edit most of the...
That's so sexy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had a couple of episodes like this, so you owe me one.
That's true.
But the show must go on, my dear.
Yes, it must, and we have a lot going on tonight.
Yes, we do. First of all, let's start out with... This is the time of year where we normally book our vacations.
Yes.
For the upcoming year, and we've done that. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming up that we want to share with you. A lot of people have been asking, what we're up to, and if you're out and about traveling in the lifestyle, where we might run into you next year. So I guess we should start chronologically.
Okay.
So in February, right? That's
Yes.
the first trip we have coming up.
Right. We are going to a Do You Know George event in Miami.
Right.
I think it's called Pinups.
Yachts, Polo, and Pinups. And it is the weekend of February 11th through 14th. So it is Valentine's Day weekend.
Yes.
And we will at least be staying in our own time zone, even though it's a quick trip. We'll be headed down to Miami. If you'll recall, in episode 9, we talked about going to a Do You Know George Just for Dinner event. And this will be the first time that we get to experience the whole enchilada, the whole George weekend.
Yeah. And it's going to be so nice and warm down there in February.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. So there's a yacht show. We're going to go to a polo club. We're staying in a 5-star resort hotel. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we're going to be wined and dined with lots of really sexy people all weekend.
Yeah, so if you're going to be there, send us an email and let us know that you're going to be there. We'd love to meet you. And before then, we had talked about he's got a trip at the end of this month to the Dominican Republic.
He does.
Yeah, we couldn't squeeze that one in, and there may be a few seats left.
I think there are. It's a black tie New Year's Eve ball.
Right, so if you're listening...
Sounds heavenly.
If you're listening to this at the end of December... you got a few more days. I think he's got some openings you might want to check out. His website is doyouknowgeorge.com. We'll put that on our show notes, and we will also be podcasting about this event when we get back in February. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Then after that, we have Vanilla Cruise.
I know, and I'm looking so forward to it. And I've been listening to other podcasts, and we are not alone in our vanilla cruising.
I know, but we need to tell everyone. So we'll be going back to Miami.
Yes, we are.
And this is going to be, when is this? This is...
March 26th to April 3rd or something like that.
Yeah, and I think April 3rd is the night we're going to stay over. We're going to stay over a Saturday night in Miami.
Yeah, it's a Saturday to Saturday cruise.
So we're looking for, I don't know, we might go to Trapeze in Fort Lauderdale if we can't get into any other trouble.
Right.
But if you're going to be on a cruise that week out of Miami on Celebrity...
Yeah, we're going on Celebrity.
Yeah, you need to let us know.
Yes.
That would make our efforts to try to flip vanillas much easier if there's going to be lifestyle people on there.
That's right.
Cruise.
So I know the Aussie Swingers just went on a vanilla cruise, and they actually did a whole podcast on that, on the difference between a lifestyle cruise and a celebrity cruise, and I cannot think of the show number. I think, was it episode 7?
I don't know.
No, I can't remember. But it was an excellent episode. Maybe we can put that on our show notes. And then I know the Hidden Swing, they're going on a vanilla cruise in April as well, but I think they're doing like out of Galveston or something.
Yeah.
I think they're going a little bit after us, actually, like the middle of April.
Right. So we're looking forward to that.
So we're all kvetching about our vanilla cruises, but we keep booking them because they're fun.
Yeah,
and,
no, it's fun.
And unfortunately, we don't have the flexibility to always be able to be off work when they do lifestyle cruises.
Well, we're doing 4 vacations, and one of them can be vanilla. That's okay.
Thank you.
It's a good ratio. So we have Do You Know George, Valentine's Day. We have our vanilla cruise, March 26th through April 2nd, and then Naughty in New Orleans.
Woohoo!
We signed up already,
Yes.
so we hope that you're going to do that. You need to let us know if you're going to be there, because we're definitely going to have a We Got a Thing event this year.
Yes.
And that is July 6th through 10th. And that's July 4th week. I think July 4th is...
I think July
like
4th is a Monday because we always fly to New Orleans on a Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, so it's a good week to... I mean, it's going to be hot down there no matter what. July, August, whatever. But
it's stinking hot. But
anyway, there are a lot of people that are going to be there, a lot more. They're going to put the link to their website. It's FrenchConnectionEvents.com. And they're going to make a lot of improvements in the playrooms next year, and a lot of new things down at Naughty in New Orleans. So be sure to sign up for that.
I mean, improvements in the playrooms just kind of blows my mind because I think it's perfect.
Well,
So,
I think they were going to do more, and they're going to do 2 different ballrooms this year, to try to keep one music a little bit more subdued than the other one.
Yeah.
So there were a few changes that, because of the feedback and the suggestions that Bob and Tess kept getting, they're making changes. And besides that, more people. There's just more people every year.
Right.
And it was getting a little crowded.
I mean, I honestly can't say enough about their events. They do such a good job of, making it flow well and provide opportunities for everybody at all levels of the lifestyle. I mean, if you're a fairly new swinger out there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's like too big and crazy for us, we're not that brave yet, it would be okay to do, because you're going to meet people all different comfort levels and experience levels, and
Right.
and you just go and have a good time. Even if you don't end up playing with anybody the whole week, you would still have a blast because you're in New Orleans and it's an awesome hotel and just such friendly people.
Yeah, so make sure you sign up. You'll have a good time.
Yep.
And then lastly, my dear,
We finally booked our vacation for Desire Pearl next year.
yeah, and
I've been very concerned because I've been like in desire withdrawal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going in August. We're going to be going to Desire Pearl, August 13th through the 21st.
Right.
So we'll be staying 8 nights.
It's Sexy, Young, and Wild month, and we are sexy. We're not really we're kind of wild. We can be wild.
You mean, are you saying we're not young?
Well, we're young at heart.
They took our money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went in August a couple years ago, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, Sexy, Young, and Wild month. We're going to be like everybody's parents there. But truly, young is a state of mind.
Right.
It's all different ages still. So don't let that theme throw you if you are not in your 30s anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like to go in August. There's no takeover that we know of that week, but that's really... price-wise, it's the best month to go. I think you said it was about 30% less in August than it was.
It was 35% off. Only at Pearl, though. RM's doing a different kind of deal.
Yeah.
But Pearl was running definitely the better deal.
Right. And remember, you can book that trip through our website. We have a Desire banner on our website. So if you'll book through there, that'll get us a little bit of commission. And, this is it's a free podcast, right?
That's right. And let us know you're going, because we would love to meet you.
Yeah.
If you happen to be going if you can overlap with us a little bit.
Yeah, so don't forget, Do You Know George in February in Miami?
Well, Do You Know George for New Year's Eve, if you can fit that in.
Yes, thank you. But we're not going to that.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we're going to the Miami on Valentine's, the Vanilla Cruise, March 26th through April 2nd, Naughty in New Orleans, July 6th, and Desire Pearl, August 13th. So if you want to catch up with the Joneses next year, book one of those trips, and we'd be glad to vacation with you.
And then, of course, I'm probably going to find other opportunities to drag Mr. Jones away on here and there as they come up. So
Yes.
stay tuned for those.
Right. So before we get into With This Ring, I Thee Swing for our topic tonight.
Yes, that is our topic. We hadn't mentioned that yet.
No, we haven't, and we'll mention that in a minute. But we will be taking our black rings on the cruise. Speaking of rings,
Absolutely.
yeah. Anyway, we're going to do what's keeping up with the Joneses. We've been really busy lately.
We have. And it's been really fun because we've been doing all kinds of things. We've been meeting some longtime lifestyle friends for dinner because that's all we could fit in, and just we really, really needed to catch up with them. So that's been fun. We've caught up with our Friday night friends a couple times.
Yes. Yeah.
And happen to be catching up with them again here soon.
They're coming this Friday.
Yes, they are.
Looking forward to that.
Definitely.
And then we met a new couple.
We did meet a new couple. We they live about, I don't know, an hour away from us. So we met them on
APG.
a website, right? At APG.
Yep.
So we met them for brunch, and we've never met a lifestyle couple for brunch before, and it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great idea. It was their idea, and it was brilliant because, you could kind of fit it in. We actually we went to church first, and then we met them for a late brunch, and it was just wonderful.
Right. And then after that, we set up a time for them to come up for the evening, and we had dinner here. And the thing about this couple that we knew going in is, I think for the most part, Mrs. Jones, except for maybe one or two couples, we seem to be playing and meeting couples that are either newer at this than us or about where we are
right
in this lifestyle. And
we're not really trying to make that happen. That just seems to be what happens.
No, but last time we made the comment, like, we like nurturing people and bringing people along.
And we do.
Yeah, but this couple is more experienced than us.
Yes, they are.
So we were looking forward to buckling our seatbelts and having somebody pull us along into some new territory.
Yeah.
And they didn't disappoint.
No, normally I'm not a roller coaster girl, but I've enjoyed the wild ride.
Yeah.
And it has been a wild ride.
Yeah. And so they came over for dinner, and it's funny because we didn't need the dumb game.
I know.
We didn't need the massage table.
Nope. We didn't need the hot tub.
No, you two ladies, after dinner, he and I started doing the dishes, and you guys came upstairs and changed. And about the time you came back downstairs, we just started interacting immediately. And then
I thought we were going to play the game and have another little drink, and it was just like,
no, they were getting down to business.
No, it was game on.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I was going to make it up the stairs.
Yeah, they're efficient swingers.
They are
very efficient. Time management. It was funny because she and I started up the staircase to come to our little playroom that we have set up, and you were nowhere to be seen. What happened?
Well, he and I were kissing, and he was like, "Well, where can we go that I can get you more comfortable?" And I said, "Well, I think we should go upstairs to the bedrooms because the bed would be the most comfortable place." And he looked at the stairs, and you could just tell he was like, "Oh, that's so far away."
Yeah.
So we walked to the staircase, and we got to the bottom of the staircase, and I think I had on like a corset and some panties or something like that. And the next thing I knew, I didn't have any panties on anymore, and he was accosting me along the staircase. So it was funny. And that was the first time we had played with them. So I was like, oh, I wonder if Mr. Jones is going to be okay that, I kind of took my time coming up the staircase. But, he and I got up the staircase, and it was fine. I mean, he was just very lighthearted about it. He wasn't like, trying to molest me or anything. Well, it wasn't lighthearted. It was actually pretty hot, but it was fun.
I think he was molesting you.
Yeah, well, that was okay. It was well received.
Yeah.
So by the time we got up to the bedroom, you and his wife were just like completely unconcerned about where we were.
Yeah, I was a little bit distracted.
You were very distracted.
And the thing about her is she's probably 5'9" or 5'10", and then she had heels on.
And she's all legs.
Yeah,
and
she's a runner too.
She is gorgeous.
And with her heels on, she and I were eye to eye level. I've never been with a woman that tall before.
Yeah, I'm short. I'm sorry.
I didn't have to crane my neck like I normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she undressed me. That's the first time I think a woman's undressed me.
Well, I've undressed you before. You're talking about other women.
No, because she's so tall. She like grabbed my shirt around the waist, and then she just pulled it up over my head. You're not tall enough to do that. That's what I meant.
No, I'm not, and I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were still on the staircase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, eventually you made it into the bedroom, and we did all kinds of stuff. I mean, there was some oral sex going on, and there was 2 girls on one guy, and I don't even remember. It was a whirlwind.
It was a blur. It was a blur. And I just remember it was so much fun. It was just so hot, and it was fast paced, but I didn't feel rushed. It was just, I think we had so much pent up excitement, because we had texted a lot the week before, and I think we had all pretty much gotten ourselves primed and ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to, this time I have to brag about myself, because I've been honest by telling you that I haven't been lasting very long. So this time, we actually had two rounds.
You didn't last very long, but you recovered extremely quickly.
I recovered quickly, and we went for round 2.
Forget the delayed refractory period for an old guy. You bounced right back, baby.
So, I mean, it was a whirlwind. It was hot. I mean, and we were moving all around. There was oral sex going on. There was full swapping going on. There was plenty of condom wrappers laying around.
There was sweat. You talk about being hot.
Yeah.
We were sweaty. And the house wasn't hot, but all 4 of us were just sopping wet afterwards.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a blast.
We did have a blast
with them, and they left, and it was like 10:30 at night. They were so efficient with us. They finished at 10:30.
Well, we had started early. I think they came over at 5. But we cooked dinner, and
I know.
And but oh my gosh, yeah.
But then 2 weeks later, which was this past weekend, they came up again.
Yes.
And we had our seatbelts buckled again. We said, okay, let's take this to what other things can you all come up with in your imagination? And so
they had a few tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah, they did.
It was crazy. So I was cleaning up. Let's see, they came over Saturday. So yesterday morning, I was cleaning up the bedroom and folding up the blankets and getting stuff ready to throw in the washer and stuff. There were like 6 condom wrappers just strewn all around. It was so funny. And then there were like extra condoms just laying on the floor and shoved in the nightstand, and it just was a mess. Yeah. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was a lot. And they were so much fun. I mean, we laughed a lot too.
We did.
And I remember at one point in time, he took a break. He got up and went into the bathroom. And then, of course, it was just the 3 of us laying there. And I made the comment that, just about now, all of my friends are watching football.
Yes, you
and
did.
Then he started laughing in the bathroom.
It sucks to be them.
Yeah, it sucks to be normal people watching football games when you could be getting double blowjobs. But anyway, just a really, really fun couple, married a long time, just really about our age, good physical condition, and every once in a while you meet a couple like that. And we've met a lot of couples. We've been on a pretty good roll here lately.
And they're so interesting. I mean, they've done a lot of different things in the lifestyle. I mean, their attitude is, well, we'll try it once. And then if we like it, we'll kind of see where we can go with it. And if we don't like it, we're going to be all right, because they're just very confident in their relationship and their ability to communicate. And so I'm not going to say they're fearless, because they're very smart about it, but they're also, they've been doing it long enough where they're willing to take, a risk and just kind of see how it rolls.
Yeah.
So.
But then the next time that we see them, one of my ultimate fantasies we're going to play out.
Yes.
Because she's a runner, and
I think she's a very fast runner.
Yeah, she runs my pace.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've already decided that we're going to play the evening. We're going to get up the next morning, and she and I are going to go on a run.
Well, he and I are too, because he and I run about the same pace as well. So we're perfectly matched.
Yeah, but you all will be a few miles behind us.
Well, maybe we'll just say, see y'all out there, and we'll just stay and have sex. Maybe. I don't know.
So anyway, we're going to go on a run together, and then we're going to come back and play together.
Yeah. And we'll already be all sweaty, so we'll just get sweatier.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
So what a great couple.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very... So anyway, but to top the whole thing off, Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
You were a bad girl.
I was a bad girl.
Yeah, this was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a Mr. and Mrs. Jones night. We just blocked the whole evening off. It was just the 2 of us, and you made this drink. I guess we started drinking about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, And you made this drink called the
Moscow Mule. Yes.
And what has that got in it?
It's vodka and lime juice and ginger beer. And it's wonderful. It's spicy because of the ginger.
Yeah.
And the lime juice and the vodka, it's delicious.
Right, but we had 2 Moscow Mules.
Yeah, because we were making dinner when we did that.
And then I threw steaks on the grill.
Yep.
And then we had a bottle of red wine.
A nice bottle of red wine. Yep.
With dinner.
Yep.
And then after dinner, it didn't stop. We had,
Nope.
Do we have liqueur
We had
40?
Fireball and rum chata, and that was Penn and Paige's fault because they had gone to, I think, a hotel takeover or something, and they sent us a text, and they were like, oh, we're drinking Fireball and rum chata, thinking of you guys. Right. And I was like, well, we could do that too. We're just home by ourselves, but we could do that too. So then I had to get out the Fireball and rum chata. And
right.
Yeah.
So needless to say, that was a pretty wild night in bed. A combination of alcohol, and we hadn't really had time together alone.
Well, we had, but not a planned out long evening like that. It's been bits and pieces here or there. So this was an orchestrated event for just the 2 of us. So yes, we had a lot of
it was a wild night because the next morning we were talking about what we did and you couldn't remember a lot of it.
No, I couldn't remember a lot of it. And then I was tipsy in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I went to church a little tipsy.
Yeah, you did. Well, I was probably a little bit too, and that's a pretty good segue to our topic tonight.
Yes, it is.
So, wow, keeping up with the Joneses. We've been quite busy, and we have more lined up for the end of the new year. And yes, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've been busy, and when we come back, we will explain to you what this means. With this ring, I thee swing.
Welcome back to our second segment of the evening. And like Mr. Jones said a few minutes ago, the title of this month's episode is called With This Ring, I Thee Swing.
And what does that mean, Mrs. Jones?
Well, I guess it means 2 things, but the first time I said that to you was when I ordered our black rings. I ordered them from Amazon. Mm-hmm. I think they were like $19.99 each. So you don't have to buy expensive black rings. If you're not familiar with black rings, they are a way that you can wear a visible representation of the fact that you're in the lifestyle. And I guess if other people are in the lifestyle as well and they're familiar with the black ring movement, then they'll recognize that and then they'll feel comfortable approaching you.
Yes.
So I ordered black rings from Amazon when we were getting ready to go, I guess, to Desire the second time. Mm-hmm. And it came in the mail and I was all excited. And it was just a few days before we were leaving for our trip. So I handed Mr. Jones his ring and I said, with this ring, I thee swing.
Aren't you clever?
I am clever. I was really proud of myself.
Yeah.
So, we obviously gave each other wedding rings 31 years ago, and we took a vow to be faithful to one another, and we got married in the Christian church, and we have remained an active part of our local church for pretty much our whole marriage. And that's one thing that we have referred to in the past that many, many of our listeners have asked us to expand upon.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to lie, I've been very, not reluctant to do so, but very hesitant to do so. I guess I'm not as confident about this topic as Mr. Jones is.
Well, we intentionally waited until we were in our second year of podcasting because this topic you just need to keep in mind, just like all of our other podcasts. This is this is our experience. It's based on our choices and our relationships and what we believe. And just like every other topic that we've shared, we're just going to share, what it's meant to us and how it's made us who we are. And, we're not, I guess it's important to say what we're not. We're not lifestyle activists, nor are we Christian evangelists. I mean, we just kind of tell people, our experience. And this is a big part of our life. And we wanted to build some trust in the relationship that we have with our listeners and some credibility before we, talked about something like this. But it is a big part of who we are. And we have had a lot of questions about it, because I think a lot of people have similar backgrounds and struggle with this.
And you and I have had a lot of discussions about this. And
we have.
And done a lot of thinking about this to make sure that we can kind of reconcile all the different parts of our lives together to make sure that we're being true to ourselves.
Yes. And we choose the word reconcile and not rationalize, because we're not, this is really something that everything that we're about to share with you, we believe. And, we've talked about it a lot, and it's a part of who we are. So hopefully it's helpful. And
I'm sure it's going to generate some conversation.
Yeah.
Hopefully will end up being in a positive fashion.
Yes.
So I guess let us tell you a little bit about our own individual backgrounds, and then our background as a couple. I guess I'll go first, because I did not grow up in the church. My parents grew up in the church, but did not attend church when I was a little girl. And sometimes I would go to church with my girlfriends, and I had a couple. They weren't bad experiences, but a couple experiences that made me not understand who God was. God always came across to me as somebody that was angry and judgmental. Just the way he was presented to me when I would go to Sunday school with my girlfriends. And I'm talking about, I was a little girl then. I'm talking about early, mid, maybe late elementary school.
Right.
So I was a very small child and couldn't really, rationalize those kinds of things for myself. So I was always kind of afraid of church. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really attend church at all in middle school or high school. So then I met Mr. Jones.
Yeah. Yeah. So my background is a little bit different. So I did grow up in the church. My parents met, in the church, and we attend a Protestant church. And, my family was involved. My mom was really, everybody was involved in the church, and it was just a part of who I was growing up. But also what stands out in my mind growing up is I remember coming home from church on Sunday and listening to my mom and dad really talk about what they heard from the pulpit, and really questioning things, and really sometimes even angry about what they heard and what they believed and what they didn't believe. And I think that had an influence on me. I think growing up in a home where you were free to express your opinion and question authority, and really that discernment is a part of as a part of our faith. We believe that just like in the lifestyle, you have to ask questions. You have to explore on your own, and to take things for face value based on what somebody tells you is not how I was brought up. And so I think that's a big part of why maybe it was easier for me to come into a lifestyle like this, because I always questioned. I always felt free. So I have to thank my parents for that.
Right. So when I met Mr. Jones and I started attending church with him, it took me years to figure out that I was worthy of having a relationship with Jesus, and that God loved me even with all of my flaws. So once I accepted that and realized I didn't have to be perfect to be loved by God, I just had to, accept his love for me and accept his grace, and then try to live a life sharing that love with other people. That was easy to do for 30 years because, we were active in our church, our children were active in the church, and we stayed very involved and very connected. And then all of a sudden, we started exploring the lifestyle, and we had to really figure out how that would fit into our faith and all the different aspects of the rest of our lives.
Right.
And at first it seemed like it wasn't going to fit at all.
Well, your first judgment on yourself is, I don't know, you either feel guilty or you feel like it's wrong or you feel like it should be wrong. But then the more we searched and the more we, read and the more we researched, we really couldn't find anything that addressed, opening your relationship, at least that directly. So, and we felt like it was a natural step for our relationship. And, having been married in the church, like many people are married in the church and maybe even aren't Christians, but still, you take your vows in a church. And so there's a lot of,
you're promising to be faithful.
Yeah, there's a lot of baggage that comes along with that. Yeah, and you're promising to be faithful to each other. So I think that's where we started. I mean, we started examining marriage vows and 10 Commandments. And, a lot of questions that we started to get were based around those, don't you think?
Right. I mean, you can't perform adultery. Well, we don't feel like we are performing adultery when we play with other couples, because adultery is cheating and being dishonest with your spouse in the way I perceive it. And I'm not being dishonest with you. I mean, I'm sharing this with you. Right. And I would never desire to do it if you didn't want to do it with me.
Right. So adultery is always portrayed as cheating, and we know we're not cheating. We're, good grief, we're the opposite of cheating. We're so honest and open with each other that it's in my mind, in our minds, it's nowhere. Adultery is not even a part of what we do.
I think we've said before, adultery begins in the mind, and now, and I'm sure, I mean, we're both human, and we both have hormones, and for the first 29 years of our marriage, I know we saw other people and thought they were attractive and never shared that with each other because it didn't seem proper.
Right.
So now we're being even less dishonest with each other, because now we see somebody and I'm like, hey, he's really hot. Or I'll say, hey, she's really hot, and then you're like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other word that comes up in the 10 Commandments is covet.
Right.
And the way that we look at covet, that's wanting something that somebody else has instead of enjoying what you own, what you have. And
something that that you can't have.
Yeah.
Because it belongs to somebody
and
else.
I don't know why this image comes to mind, but for me it was like, hey, I have a push mower, and I look across the street and my neighbor's on a riding mower and I'm like, man, I want that riding mower. But I don't want to replace, I'm not replacing you. I'm not coveting something else because you're not an equal partner and you're not satisfying me and you're not an equal part of this healthy relationship. So covet doesn't fit either. I'm not yearning for what my neighbor has. We're opening our relationship and we're sharing it. We're sharing that person with each other.
Right.
So we were able to kind of, take adultery and coveting and, kind of reconcile those two terms for what they meant. And then there's the wedding vows. I mean, forsaking all others. And again, we're talking about our relationship. We do everything together. We're so open and honest, and, even the swing lifestyle is a part of enhancing our relationship. So, as far as we're concerned, this is enhancing our relationship. It's bringing us closer. So still, I'm scratching my head, looking for something that is going to come out and just tell me in black and white terms that this is the wrong thing to do and why it's the wrong thing to do.
So years and years ago, before we even thought about being in the lifestyle, or we even knew what the lifestyle was, Mr. Jones and I were in a Bible study class and we were studying the Old Testament. And of course, at some point when you're studying the Old Testament, you're going to talk about King Solomon and his 700 wives and 200 concubines or whatever he has. So, I'm sitting in class with Mr. Jones, and sure enough, his hand goes up. And when Mr. Jones' hand goes up in a class like that, my first tendency is to reach over and pull the hair on the back of his hand to make him put his hand down.
They're totally skipping over that part. Like they're talking about King Solomon, and I'm going, excuse me, can we talk about the 700 wives and the 200 concubines? And the answer that we always got was, oh, well, that's just how it was.
That was the way it was back then.
I'm like, well, why can't it be that way now?
Right.
And this was before we were even in a lifestyle.
When did we switch to monogamy?
Yeah,
You know?
I'm like, you know, this is in the Bible. You can't just gloss over that and pretend like it's not there. You can't, and in my mind, you can't do that. You've got to acknowledge it, and then you got to ask, well, you know, why was it like that, and explore and dig deep. And of course, in a typical Bible study, people aren't equipped to do that, or don't want to take the time to do that. So
Right.
sorry if I embarrassed you there, honey.
Well, that wasn't the only time, but that's just one small illustration. But you have a really good point. And I mean, King David was one of the most imperfect people in the world. I mean, he had somebody's husband put onto the front line of a very vicious battle that was
Right.
going to happen so that he would be killed and he could have the wife because he saw her taking a bath naked on the roof of a building.
Yeah, I mean, he's
so
swinging.
he was spying on this married lady.
Yeah, I don't want to have another guy put to death. I want him to share you as a distraction while I'm with his wife.
Right. And,
You know,
and
why
I mean,
can't we all?
these people were beloved by God. So, you know, I think that, I don't know. I guess that's the point I want to bring up next is, you know, we were designed by God. And if you've ever read the Song of Solomon in the Bible, it's about nothing but sex and lust
Right.
that this newlywed couple has for one another. So God wired us to be sexual beings,
Yes.
and he has given us another gender to experience sexual pleasure with. And so if he wants us to have sexual pleasure and we're supposedly made in his image, then why does so much of like the way we perceive church is church always tells us that sex is bad
Yeah.
and that you should only have sex if you want to have a baby.
But the bottom line is, you know, we believe that we are created by God. We believe we're wired this way. We believe that we're supposed to have sex. We believe we're supposed to enjoy sex. And as long as we're committed to each other in a monogamous relationship as far as emotionally, you know, the sex is the fun part. And as long as we're not hurting anyone else, we really couldn't find anything. You know, we kept reconciling these things one after another. And like you said, it wasn't anything that happened overnight. This was something deliberate by us because, you know, our faith is important to us. And that's why we're doing this podcast. We would feel hypocritical if we just like brushed this under the rug or pretend like that we, you know, didn't attend church and we weren't Christians. And so, anyway, that's why we decided to air this out. So this is probably a good time to point out some, you know, there are some very conservative views when it comes to Christianity.
Right.
But to just throw out a blanket statement to say, if that's the way Christianity is and Christians behave, then I am not going to be Christian, nor am I going to even entertain the idea that I could be created by God. It's almost the same as finding a couple in the lifestyle that either are cheating or they're aggressive.
Just in it for a different reason.
Yeah, in it for a different reason. And it would be like us saying, well, if that's how the lifestyle is, we don't want to have anything to do it. So if you base your belief on Christianity about people that you disagree with, it's the same thing as saying, well, there's been couples in a lifestyle that didn't behave the way that we do. If that's how people in the lifestyle are, then I can judge the lifestyle. So we really believe that you should study for yourself. You should, we're not trying to convince you of anything. We're not trying to evangelize. We're not trying to evangelize for the lifestyle. We're just saying that you can't use conservative Christian views as an excuse not to explore the idea that there could be a creator. Just as a same thing is that you've got to explore individually into the lifestyle. You can't say, well, if that person behaves that certain way, then therefore I'm going to judge the lifestyle as being wrong. And we know we find ourselves in a very interesting situation because I think we would be judged. We're really judged by both sides. I mean, to be a Christian in the lifestyle, you know, brings a certain amount of judgment, and then being a lifestyle while being a Christian, you know, there's risk that you're going to be judged from the Christianity side. So it's really an interesting place that we find ourselves in.
And that's why I've been so hesitant to do this. Yes.
Right.
But, for people that are interested in exploring the reconciliation of the two, of the lifestyle and their Christian faith, I think it's worth it. And people that don't see things the way we do, I'm interested to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. And remember that, humans are imperfect. So whether it's the church or whether it's an institution or whether it's a business or, whether it's a lifestyle, since people are imperfect and people make up all institutions, then institutions are going to be imperfect as well. That's why the only person you have to rely on is yourself. I mean, you have to really do some introspection and some soul searching, as an individual or as a couple to decide what's best for you. And to use imperfect institutions as an excuse not to explore that, we think, you're missing an opportunity there. So
and I think one big advantage we have in our current time in which we live is that we have so much access to information. I mean, when the Christian church was being formed, most people were illiterate. I mean, only usually people in the church were educated in the ability to read and to write. I mean, scribes were extremely powerful people because they had a gift that not very many people had. So people had to learn about God through word of mouth because the Bibles weren't widely printed and available for people. And even if they had a Bible, they wouldn't be able to read it. So they had to be told what to believe. And now Mr. Jones and I are fortunate enough to be part of a church where our pastor encourages us to understand that the Bible was written to very specific groups of people. And you have to understand the context in which those particular stories were written and the audience in which they were geared towards. And we've been encouraged our whole adult lives to take those stories in the Bible and understand their context and then fit how they, or figure out how they fit into our lives in the 21st century. So we've been encouraged to basically own our own faith.
Yeah. And also, the fact that faith is something that you mature through. So the Old Testament, in my opinion, is a rules-based story. The New Testament is a relationship-based story. We're a little bit more mature in our relationship. And the message that you get from the pulpit is designed for the vast majority of people, but it's not designed for everyone. So we want to take that and explore it ourselves. So our own faith is our own, just like our own lifestyle journey is our own. We don't depend on anyone else to tell us what that should be. We decide for ourselves. And we use that decision based on research, what we read. And this is both lifestyle and Christianity, whether it's the Bible or whether it's a swinger podcast. I mean, whatever it is out there that you can consume. And then as a couple, talk about and decide, what does this mean to us? What do we think about this? And really, that's what we've been going through in this, as we've worked our way through our faith and reconciled that with the lifestyle.
Right. I mean, we're growing in both arenas, I believe.
Yeah. So ignorance is really, that's the essence of, what was that? What was that quote?
She said, this was the lady at CatalystCon. She said, ignorance was the essence of evil driven by money and power, not knowledge.
Right.
Right. So it's like the church back then was taking advantage of the ignorance of their constituents.
Yes. Yeah. And now we're in the information age, and actually
right.
we're a part of that. I mean, this podcast is about, sharing our experience and
right.
putting this information out there. And so people can consume that as knowledge if they choose to do so. But, then freedom, like God's grace, I mean, it's got to be personally discerned and responsibly exercised. And that's the free will that we give. So, as an individual and as a couple, it's up to us to really discern what that means for us. And we believe that that's a gift. We
right.
believe that it's incumbent upon us to make that decision. I don't want an institution making that decision for me. I don't want a pastor, telling me or jamming down my throat. nor do I want a lifestyle activist to jam down my throat, what I should believe and how I should behave in a lifestyle. This is a decision that you and I make together as we journey, through this thing. And, that's really been, that's how we've been growing.
Right.
So,
years and years ago, we were in a different small group than we're in now. And the pastor and his wife happened to be in our small group. And it's when our kids were little. And I remember we had a picnic one time, and all the kids were playing, and the couples were sitting around. And because it was a picnic, some of us had alcohol there. And some of us we were kind of afraid to drink alcohol in front of the pastor because we knew he didn't drink alcohol. But he told us that he didn't mind if we drank beer at the picnic because he believed that for him, he had a family member that struggled with alcohol. And he watched that family member disintegrate because of alcohol, because the family member couldn't manage the alcohol in his life. And so for our pastor, alcohol was an obstacle to God for him. And he said to him, that's what sin was. And that sin was different for every person. He thought that alcohol was sinful because he couldn't enjoy it knowing what it had done to his family member. But he said, if we can drink alcohol and enjoy it and be responsible with it and not let alcohol cause us to make bad decisions because we've overindulged or whatever, then drinking alcohol is fine.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fascinating that he said that sin isn't it's not necessarily a list of things that you can't do. Sin is something that you do that causes a wall to be drawn between you and God.
Right.
And to me, when Mr. Jones and I play with another couple that's madly in love, has great communication skills, loving relationship, and they just want to have fun with us, and Mr. Jones and I want to have fun with them, then I don't think that's a sin.
Right.
If we ever played with a couple where I was worried about what they were going to do when they walked out our door, like they were going to be upset with each other, then I would not want to participate in that. That would not be a comfortable situation for me. Right. And that's going to happen accidentally sometimes, but for the most part, I think we're pretty careful about making sure that those couples are okay before we play.
Right. So we believe that we each have the power to live our own lives with integrity and morals as we discern them. So we're not allowing an individual, an activist, a pastor, an institution to impress upon us what we should believe, whether it's lifestyle related or whether it's Christianity or anything about God. We decide for ourselves. And so we've approached both. It's kind of ironic. We've approached Christianity the same way that we approach the lifestyle. We examine, oh my gosh, we've been in this lifestyle. We have met people. I'll say this. We have met people in the lifestyle that I believe exhibit the way that I think Christians should behave more than what we see in church.
Yeah, we do.
Really. When you go to Desire and take your clothes off and you're human being to human being, and there's a connection there, that's innately human. There's some sort of there's power to that. And that's how people should relate. I think that's what draws us into it, is you're with other people and you think, oh my gosh, this connection that we have, these things that we can talk about, we don't allow these other things to get in the way like the rest of society does. It's really liberating to be able to just strip everything away, no pun intended. And when you remove clothes and you can talk about sex, all of a sudden everything is on the table, and you can get to know somebody within, just going to dinner with a couple.
I know.
And you know them better than you know friends that you've had for 30 years.
I know.
So it's really amazing how when you take that, the freedom that you have to do that and believe, if you can get rid of the guilt,
right,
and
right.
That's something that the church and others impress upon us as well. So, I don't know. How do we wrap this up? Our relationship, we believed it was strong enough, and we've said this before, this is a risky step, but we have been in this now long enough where we can look at our relationship and we know it's stronger.
Right.
Right?
Right. And I know that if we would have felt that this was becoming an obstacle between us and our relationship with God. I know we would have backed off, but I don't feel that way. And I was probably always the lesser confident of the two of us going into this and through this. But I honestly, sometimes I say, am I just saying this? Am I giving this lip service, or do I really believe this? And then, when we play with a couple, I mean, like Saturday night, that was just wild and crazy sex, but at the same time, it was fun.
Yeah.
And we were doing nothing but building each other up.
Yeah, it was harmless.
Yeah, there was no backbiting. There's no, oh, her husband's more gorgeous than my husband, or, I know her legs are like a foot longer than mine, and she's absolutely gorgeous, but I'm not the least bit worried about you falling in love with her and kicking me to the curb.
Right.
We want their marriage to be healthy. We want our marriage to be healthy, and we just want to be friends.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not sure what the message is here, other than we're just expressing what we believe. We're expressing what we believe in our relationship, what we believe as Christians, and we're just being open and honest. We're not trying to convince anybody of anything.
Everybody's journey is their own. Everybody's faith journey is their own. Everybody's lifestyle journey is their own.
Right. And we're not about judging people, because you know what? You and I are imperfect too.
We are. Yeah. We are. And if you're listening to us going, those people are crazy, I don't know what to say. This is just kind of where we are right now. And we're very interested to hear how other people have managed their faith journeys at the same time as managing their lifestyle journeys. Yeah.
So just like everything else in our podcast, we don't want you to say, oh, well, the Joneses say this and they believe that, therefore, that's what it applies to us.
No, this is not a time to keep up with the Joneses.
No, we want you to decide for yourself. Like we said before, we want you to hit the pause button, and we want you to talk about this as a couple and really get down to, why do I believe what I believe? How was I brought up? What church did I go to? What was the purpose of that church? What were they trying to do to me? Ask those 4, 5, 6, 7 questions deep.
Yeah.
And explore. And
like we said at the beginning, Mr. Jones and I came to our Christian faith from very, very different pathways. Like I said, I was afraid of the church until, even after we got married, I still didn't feel comfortable in church. It took me years for somebody to actually convince me that I belonged there and that God loved me, even though I had made mistakes in my past, and none of that mattered, because we're all imperfect.
Right. So anyway, as we close this out, let's just say that, we are still active in our church. We are still we're still faithful. We believe that we're growing as Christians. We believe we're growing in the lifestyle. We believe we're growing as individuals. And you know what? This is a heck of a lot of fun.
It is a heck of a lot of fun.
And it just seems right. It just seems natural. Yep. And so to be able to trust that instinct and trust that judgment. And that's why, I've said this before, but we're just so fortunate to have each other and to go through this together and to experience these things in life, and to be able to be with somebody that you trust so completely that you can talk about this and share this and question this is really, there's no other way to put it. I'm sorry, but it's a blessing. Yeah,
it is a blessing. And when I go to church, even though I went a little tipsy last Sunday, I still went, and I was very cognizant of what was going on. Even though we had just had wild and crazy sex with another couple a few hours before that, I go and I just am so thankful for all the blessings I have in my life. And the blessings aren't the sex that I have with other people, but it's the connection I have with you and the commitment I have with you. And then all of these amazing friends that we meet.
Yes.
Because the friendships that we're developing, even with our crazy new roller coaster friends.
Yeah.
They are amazingly fun in bed.
They are.
We are learning a lot from them.
We are. High five.
High five. But at the same time, they are such an interesting couple, and they're so solid and just happy and confident, and they're just gaga about each other, and they're just so much fun to be around.
Yeah. And what's wrong about that?
I think they're a blessing in our lives.
I do too.
You know, all of our lifestyle friends are. I mean, I could say that about every couple.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've beat this topic to death.
We have.
Yeah. So thank you for being patient with us, and hopefully this makes sense. We're not really sure if it does or not. We're just kind of winging this and sharing.
Hopefully we've given you something to think about, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So really, send us emails, send us your questions, send us your feedback, because we're only one couple and we don't have all the answers. But
no, we don't. And so we really would like to hear other perspectives, because that'll help us kind of, keep all those pieces put together in our own minds.
Right. And when we come back, we are going to completely blow your minds with a couple of really hot snapshots.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, well, welcome back to our last segment of the evening, our snapshots. And we are so excited because we have 2 really hot snapshots to read from listeners this month. And then, of course, Mr. Jones and I have our own snapshots to share. And I'm telling you what, only picking one was kind of tough.
Yeah, I know it was.
We've had a couple really amazing
and
experiences lately.
Speaking of snapshots from listeners, we are out of snapshots.
We are. These are the last 2.
Yeah, so we need you all to send us your snapshots, please.
Yes.
And we promise if they're 1 or 2 paragraphs and right to the point, we'll read them on our next podcast.
Yeah, really. Come on, guys. We know you're out there and we know you're doing good stuff.
Yeah.
You just got to type it up.
Right. Oh, so first of all, this snapshot is from B and K in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I have to say that the first thing that they mentioned is in their email is, we made a mistake last month, Mrs. Jones, when we talked about in credo.
I know
radio.
we did. And that was totally me. That was me.
Don't say the wrong name. We've gone back and edited and reposted the podcast, but it's not.
But if you downloaded it like during the first week, it was wrong.
So it's in credo.
Yeah.
If you downloaded the other one or listened to the other one, it's not a mariachi band.
No, it's sexy,
slow. So it's in credo.
Music.
So that was the first part of their email. Okay, so this is B&K from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I had been communicating with a couple. I thought we would hit it off, and we had arranged for us to meet for drinks only at a hotel bar in New Orleans. They were attending a Saints game, and we had arranged to meet after the game. For us, it is about a 75-minute ride to New Orleans.
Good golly.
And so his wife, Kay, wasn't really all that keen about making the 75-minute drive to meet a couple for drinks on a Sunday evening when both of them had to be at work early on Monday morning. I'm already feeling for the guy.
I know. And we've been there and done that too.
So the entire drive, it was obvious to me that Kay was just going along for the ride and had no expectations. Oh, gosh, I could just see myself in that car. Why are we doing this?
I know.
You're the one. This is your idea.
I know. I've said that.
Yes, you have.
I confess.
Yes. She really wasn't interested, although we had exchanged face pics via text. She said she really didn't think she was interested. I dropped her off outside the hotel. I bet you he was relieved when he got her out of the car. I dropped her off outside the hotel and went to park the car about 4 blocks away. When I finally located her and the other couple at the hotel bar, I knew as soon as I walked in that the 3 of them had hit it off immediately. That's a I told you so moment right there. After a couple of rounds of drinks and a couple of appetizers, I knew that the 4 of us had something going on that wasn't going to end with drinks.
They had a thing.
Little did we know that they had a nice 3-bedroom apartment just around the corner.
No way.
From the hotel bar. What a coincidence. They invited us up to their apartment for another round of drinks and brought out the coconut oil and suggested that the men pamper the women with massages. Just a look into Kay's eyes told me that she was so glad she had trusted me to set her up with a couple in which she would really be happy. Kay is decidedly straight. She has played with women, and it doesn't really float her boat. The woman of the other couple had similar experiences and has decided that she too is straight. Kay and Elle really liked each other, but there hasn't been anything sexual between them. But the chemistry between the four of us has been nothing short of amazing. We left there late that night for the 75-minute drive home. All the way home, we talked about the feeling of meeting a couple that would become great friends. That has proven to be true, and we've spent another night with them and had a great time. So I wanted to read this one because, see, you've done this to me.
I
You're
have.
like, why do we have to go meet this couple on a weeknight? No. I got to get up early. And then we end up getting there, and then you have a good time.
I know. I have a good time, and then I'm the one that you have to drag out.
Yeah. So good for you, B and K and Baton Rouge. And, that just goes to show you, all of you out there listening, that you need to trust. Here's the message I get. You got to trust your husbands because they always know. They always know what's right.
How convenient.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that snapshot, B and K from Louisiana.
Okay, well, my snapshot from a reader, I don't know where these folks live, but they go by J and D, and they started out their message by saying, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We must admit, we got a thing for your podcast. So you become our traveling ritual. Before we even get to the airport, I anxiously ask my husband if he's downloaded the podcast we haven't listened to yet for the ride. We get in our seats, get out the headsets, and relax to your sexy voices." So here's their snapshot.
This is hot.
I know. So your podcast about naughty New Orleans, and then in parentheses, we were there and loved it, were steamy and got us in the mood on a very long flight from East to West Coast recently. The details about your experiences and the way you both talk about watching each other and who you are playing with really got us hot and bothered. So much so that I slipped out of my seat, went to the bathroom, and removed my panties. When I returned, I discreetly handed them to my husband and watched his eyes just light up.
I bet.
Luckily, we had a blanket and some other layers we placed over my lap so he could slide his hand down my pants and feel how aroused I was. It didn't take much playing or very long before I had an orgasm. On a plane, baby. It was a fabulous way to start the trip and fueled a lot of incredible playing and sex all weekend.
That's hot.
Oh my gosh.
That's hot.
We helped somebody have an orgasm on an airplane, Mr. Jones.
I know. We've never done that.
No.
No. I had to pick those panties up and I would have shoved them right up my nose.
That is so awesome. So thank you so much, J and D, for sharing that.
Yeah, that's great. So any of the rest of you out there that wants to share a hot snapshot, a funny snapshot, a sexy snapshot, a disastrous snapshot, whatever it is you want to sell us to read on the air, please do, because we are clean out of listener snapshot. So,
well, you know what that means.
What?
We're just going to have to tell about our own.
Oh, okay. So I have a good one this time.
Okay.
So our new friends, the ones that are a little bit more advanced than us, so I mentioned that we did round 1 and then round 2.
Yeah.
So round 1 didn't last very long for me. I think we did 2 positions. We did missionary, and then I said, you got to turn over so I can do you doggy style. And then about 30 seconds into doggy style was done.
Wasn't that set when you thought that maybe you were going to be able to hold out, but then you came and you didn't even realize you came?
You had to mention that. Didn't you?
Well,
I don't know. The condom it's like a delayed reaction, because I pulled out of her and I didn't realize it, but I was almost in the middle of an orgasm and I wasn't even inside of her. I don't understand condoms yet. I'm not that.
I know.
Anyway, so I had one orgasm. And then she and I were observing you and her husband, and that was turning me back on.
He had me twisted up. I remember when you finished, And he had me like I had legs like over his shoulders, and I don't know how he had me, but it was convoluted, and
Yeah.
oh my God, that was so hot.
So she turned to me. I was standing on the edge of the bed, and she was laying on the bed next to you two. And I said something about, hey, it's almost time for round 2. And I was starting to get hard again because I was watching you. And I said, well, where do you want me? And she said, well, what if I just suck it out of you? I said, oh, okay. So between her saying, why don't I just suck it out of you, and watching him with you, she gave me a blowjob. And within about another 5 minutes or so, I had come again.
I know, because he and I were still going at it. And
right.
Yeah.
But I haven't even gotten to the snapshot yet.
Okay.
So I end up having a second orgasm in her mouth. And at that point in time, I'm watching you two.
Well, and we were noticing you guys.
Yes. Yeah. And you finally rolled off of him, I think. I don't remember exactly what the order of events was. But anyway, there was a break in the action, and she came and gave you a kiss. And she said something in the lines of, I saved something for you. And she still had my cum in her mouth. And she kissed you, and she shared it with you.
Yes, she did.
And
that was crazy.
That was crazy. And I said, now that's something I've never seen before.
That was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she had it in her mouth it had to have been a few minutes, because
he and I weren't even done yet, but we knew what was going on over there. And we were both just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys kind of stopped us in our tracks.
Yeah.
We managed to finish later, but yeah.
So I was proud of myself for going twice.
No kidding.
No. And I don't take no darn pills. Let's get that straight.
Everybody knows that, darling.
Yeah.
I think you've said that on the podcast before.
But when she kissed you and she says, I have something I need to share with you.
Hot.
Man,
that was so hot.
Yeah, that was hot. So yeah, that's my snapshot. I bet you can't top that one.
Yes, I can, because we played with them again a couple weeks later, which happens to be just a couple nights ago. So again, it was like I said, it's like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride playing with them, because it just, okay, so he and I...
God, honey, that's a Disney World reference.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's how wild you are. You don't go on roller coasters, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That's right up there with It's a Small World.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. People know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay. So the husband and I actually made it halfway up the staircase this time before he stopped and ripped my panties off. And yeah, he went down on me right in the middle of the staircase. So, and then like hours later, when we finally came back downstairs, when it was time for them to go home, there were my red panties laying right in the middle of the stairs. I said, look, honey, we made it halfway up this time. And you said, yep, sure enough. So anyway, it was, again, just so much fun. And it's all a blur, because everything just happens. It's so fluid, and we just keep changing and just having
That's
so
your
much fun with
snapshot,
them.
finding your panties on the stairs?
Well, that's kind of...
Because there's another part I thought you were going.
Oh yeah, totally another part where I thought where I'm going to go. So this was kind of towards the end of the evening. You know, I think you had made a reference at one point where he had gone in the bathroom, and you said something about
my friends are watching football about right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when he came back out, we were all ready for round 2, and he grabbed another condom. I think one of the like 6 or 7 wrappers that were found the next morning. So he put another condom on, and he and I started having sex again. And at that point, she was laying on her back, and you went down on her, and I was laying on my back. So she and I were laying like side by side. So he was having sex with me, and you were going down on his wife.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it was just amazingly wonderful. And we had all had sex once, so it was kind of like that whole frantic, let's get this out of our system was already over with. So we were able to kind of enjoy each other a little bit more. So he and I were having a really good time. And I, at one point I looked up at him, and he kissed me, and I said, I want you to kiss your wife. So she and I were laying it's like shoulder to shoulder, So he leaned over while he was having sex with me, and he kissed his wife. And when he leaned up over me, he kind of, was up, and I could see underneath of him, I could see you going down on her, and he was kissing his wife, and he was fucking me at the same time. And it was just like, this is the perfect connection. It was just the perfect connection.
Oh, okay.
And you said at one point that was when I kept like banging you in the back of the head with my knee, right?
Well, yeah, every time like your knee was next to her knee and I was down on her. So when he would thrust inside of you, your legs would spread apart and your knee was knocking me in the back of the head.
So see, even you and I were connected. I was like knocking you in the back of your head with my knee.
Yeah.
But it was so hot because I could see them kissing. And when he kissed her, it was actually a very sweet, sensual kiss.
Yeah.
And I could just see how much he loved her and she loved him. And then you were giving her attention and he was making me feel amazing.
Well, there was one other thing. When I got up to go to the bathroom and I walked across the carpet and I stepped in something wet.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, oh, yeah, I forgot I squirted on the floor over there.
Yeah, he made me squirt before I even got on the bed.
I know, and you just bought that Liberator throw.
I know.
What good does it do if you're going to squirt all over the floor,
Well,
honey?
I know. I need to throw it on the floor.
Yeah, we need those all over the place.
I can't help it when you're accosted in the middle of the staircase. And yeah. It didn't last long.
That was quite a night.
It was.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah, I like being a good pupil.
I know. They can teach me anything.
Yeah. So anyway, this has been a long episode. I apologize again for coughing and clearing my throat during this whole thing, but we felt like if we didn't get this podcast recorded tonight, that we were going to run out of time with everything. No,
we got lots of vanilla stuff coming up. We have we went to a holiday party last night.
Yeah, for my work.
Got one on Thursday night for my work.
Right. Yeah, we've got a lot of vanilla stuff coming up and swinger stuff coming up. So anyway, we're about to wrap up. If you don't mind, for a Christmas gift, it would be nice if you all would review us on iTunes. We haven't had an iTunes review in a while.
No.
So we'd appreciate that. If
we
you
really would. And then after you finish that iTunes review, just send us your snapshot.
Yeah.
You'll already be on your iPad or computer or whatever.
Yeah, please do.
Keep going.
Yeah. And so there's really only, we don't like to advertise for things just to advertise for things. There's only really 3 things that we are promoting, and that's because we've experienced them and we enjoy them so much. So the first one is our Cassidy community. Yep. So if you're a member of Cassidy, please join our community. If you're not a member of Cassidy, you can, if you join through the link on our website, and our website is wegotathing.com, you'll get 90 free days to test it out. The other thing is, if you're going to book Desire, and hopefully you're going to book Desire August 13th through 21st, because that's when we're going to be at Desire Pearl. Yeah. There's a link, there's a banner on our website where you can book your trip. We'd appreciate that. And the Do You Know George, we're going to put a link there on our page as well. So please email us at wegotathing@gmail.com. It's all one word, WEGOTTATHING@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at wegotathing. Review us on iTunes. And it's about bedtime, isn't it, honey?
It is about bedtime. We got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, we got to go to work tomorrow. So anyway, we thank you very much for coming back this month, and we will see you, in 2016.
I know. We're going to get into some trouble before then. So.
I suspect that we will.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. We are Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and we got a thing.
What's your thing?